right, I feel like I've gone back in time in a time machine.
It's crazy, because for those that don't know, me and you were in Macau around 15 years ago. I mean, we've been friends for years, but we sort of were quite intense at that time because we were all on this big trip. I can't remember what we were doing out there. Was it the IFA Awards?
You were doing.
And I was doing a performance or something there. We had a great time.
Yeah.
We had a great time then.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then I haven't seen you for like years after that.
Yeah. But you are back with a new album, which I've listened to, and it's great. Although Insania's made it on there. Tell me about that decision.
Had to do it. The thing is, right,
Yeah.
and I always have this thing with people where I always say, people only ever remember one song you've ever done, right? Which is Mysterious Girl, which is a compliment, of course. But we've had 2 other number ones, and we've had 9 top 5 singles, right? But no one remembers a lot of them. And so when we went to redo this, I thought, we've got to add all of them in. I mean, Insania, for what it was number 3 in the charts. And it actually stayed there for a little while, so it had to be done. But I redid it how I originally heard it.
Right.
Just a bit more up-tempo, live strings, all that sort of stuff. Just wanted to
And
make
did you
it a
actually
bit more
write it
disco.
did you write it in the jungle?
Why do I get asked that? Why did I get asked that so many times? I can't remember this whole thing.
Apparently you didn't write it in the jungle, you wrote it before, and then it was released as a jungle song.
I honestly
Right.
don't even know why I get asked that question.
Oh. So you did write it in the jungle?
I wrote it.
Oh.
I wrote it with a guy called Soren, I think his name
Right.
was, which is not the cake, by the way. Although he was very sweet. Do you like what I did there?
Yeah, very, very good.
I don't remember how long ago I wrote it, but I wrote that. So
Are you watching? I'm going to go back to the album in a sec, but are you watching Jungle? I'm assuming.
I haven't. Do you know what? It is a great show. It's one of the greatest shows, but I haven't seen it for about 4 or 5 years.
I was
which is
surprised
really
they didn't
bad.
ask you to go back on in some way, shape or form.
I actually don't know. That would be a Claire question. I don't know if they asked me, but the thing is for me is I've been on it twice, and I thought, well, how many more times do you go on it? I mean, think about. So I went in obviously in 2004, and then I went in again. I think 2010. Mark Wright was in it. Fatima Whitbread was in it.
I'd forgotten about the second time. Yeah.
So yeah, so I went in that twice, and I thought, I don't know. I haven't been watching much TV for like 2 or 3 years now. I fell into the whole Netflix thing.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you just sort of get into when you can watch something.
Yeah.
There are some shows on TV that are good, and I try and catch up on them. But no, I haven't seen The Jungle for ages. But man, can you believe they're still going? Anton Decker's still smashing it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's incredible. Right, back to legacy. What are you most proud of over the course of your 30-year career, and what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, obviously, if it's to do with personal, it's family. That's an obvious. If it's to do with work-wise, there's been a couple of key moments. I never won a Brit, but I did win a World Music Award, which is huge. That was in 1997. That was a massive moment for me, because I remember the front row being Lionel Richie, Celine Dion, the Bee Gees. I remember standing on that stage going, oh my God, like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Ricky Martin, all these people that I all met that night. And Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees and I became really good friends from that night.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember that night Celine Dion had, she was really lovely, just as you'd imagine her to be.
I'd love to meet her.
Right? She might be staying here. Everyone else seems to be. But she was as lovely as you could think, right? And then we talked for ages, and she signed this album for me and for Claire. And I remember I walked out telling everyone I had this signed CD of Celine Dion, and within an hour I didn't know where I put it. And I lost it, and I was so gutted. But she was so kind. But all of the people...
Well, if she's watching this, then she knows where you are.
I can't believe it. I know. It's like, well, would you ever give someone an album again if they lost it? You'd be like, listen, mate, you're lost. But no, she was really lovely. And Lionel Richie that night. And I remember years later, probably only 2 years ago, I was doing the Nordhoff Robbins, the blue carpet. I sometimes host the blue carpet. And he walked up, and I thought, well, I haven't seen him for 30 years. There is no way he's going to remember that night. And he came up, what a gentleman he was. Came up and he says, hey, man, I remember you from the World Music Awards. I was like, what? He said, yeah, you performed right in front of me. And I said, which doesn't sound right. did music in front of him. And I said to him, but Lionel, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I said, in rehearsals, I'd prepped the song. I was ready to go. Everyone had done their sound checks. And then when I went live and it was going across the world and I saw you, I said, my knees started shaking. I got stage fright. And he said the same thing happened to him with the Four Tops, or I think it was Four Tops or the Temptations, that he froze. And he remembered the night, he remembered the song, the performance. And I thought, what an absolute gentleman. How many people would you know, anyway, that's a real highlight. Selling out the O2 twice, the O2 Arena twice is a big highlight. There's been some big moments. #1 album, I mean, of course, you know, there's lots of highlights.
Yeah. And Mysterious Girl can't do a Peter Andre interview without asking. Obviously, this is like a re-release on the new album. What's the term? It's not re-release, is it? It's like
Yeah, but before I get into that, do you know it was originally called Mystery Man?
No, I didn't know that.
Right, so here's a bit of a bit of story for you. So the idea was, you know, Shabba ranks Mr. Lover Man, and the girl sings Shabba. No, sorry, the girl sings Mr. Lover Man, and he goes Shabba. Well, the idea was with this that the girls would sing, oh, mystery man, I want to get close to you. And I was supposed to talk back in a rap voice, and I'm like, guys, I'm from Australia. It's never going to work. So we messed around with it, and then we flipped it. And so it originally was a different title.
Oh, wow.
I think it works better as Mysterious Girl. But if you listen to that chorus, it is quite a female-led chorus. If you think about it, it should have been the other way around. Anyway, so 30 years on.
Someone on TikTok, or some Gen Z kid on TikTok will sing it the way it should have been.
Yeah. Well, yeah. 30 years later, I thought, what do we do to celebrate it? Because this summer is 30 years since it was a worldwide hit, right? This summer. I said, that's mad. So I thought, you can't just go re-release it. They'll just want the original. So I thought, I'm going to ring up Bubba Ranks, my mate who was on the original, and I said, would you come back and just re-sing on it? I said to the producers, they're these young guys that I've worked with, Rita Ora, Stormzy, they've done loads of great tracks. But I said, guys, we can't make this try and sound, you know, 2026 too cool. It has to still be nostalgic, but with your little influence in it. So, because their parents loved the original style.
We're so old.
I know, mad. Their parents, they would lean on what their parents listened to back then.
Yeah.
So that kind of new disco, funk kind of pop with the other songs. This is not Mysterious Girl in particular, but with Mysterious Girl, I said, can you make it more reggae? Go back in time. Because mine was real pop reggae. So can you just make it a bit more reggae? So they did. Sounds great. And then Bubba Ranks was amazing. And then I found this Kenyan artist. I was watching Instagram, and this Kenyan artist did a verse in Swahili, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds incredible. So I reached out to him in Kenya, and I said, would you sing on this new version? And he was like, really? And I said, well, yeah, you sound phenomenal. So we've got a verse in Swahili.
That's so cool.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
sounds great.
I thought, how do we do it different enough? Everyone who likes the original will like an original, but this version at least is...
I can see it being played in clubs in Ibiza and across Europe this summer. Do you know what I mean? It's got that
and
vibe.
Africa, because Mysterious Girl was huge in Africa. And that's why I guess it's funny.
I just don't think they have beach clubs in Africa, but yeah.
Well,
Desert club.
On the coast, maybe.
Desert club. True.
But it's mad when people say things like they think you've only had one hit and that it happened after The Jungle, because Mysterious Girl got re-released.
Yeah.
So a lot of the new generation think that it was only ever released in 2004, but they forget that there was this huge international side that happened in 1996, you know, and so it's mad when I think about it. So that was Mysterious Girl. And then I thought, right, we're going to go with all these other tracks, redo them, and then 3 brand new tracks, and that's what I've done.
Oh, it's brilliant. And at the risk of objectifying you massively, how is the six-pack?
Chilling.
It's not.
Do you know what it is
really
for me? I train hard, I do. Yeah. But I'm not as obsessed as so training...
Like you and I have both been very obsessed.
Yeah, we're obsessed with training. I'm obsessed with training. I love training. But I can't do the whole diet thing. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And I cook, so obviously, whatever my kids have got left over, I'm the vacuum cleaner. I'm like... But then I'll train harder So that's how I balance it.
Right. It's really healthy.
Are you a weightlifter or more a
Oh,
cardio?
I have to do more weights now. As you get older, you have to do.
See,
but I find it so boring.
I'm
I like
still
the
a cardio guy.
same. I love the endorphins of a run.
That's what I noticed. So I do agree that weightlifting is probably better for your system in a way,
Yeah.
although cardiovascular wise, I think running's better. But I don't get the same endorphins.
Same. It's just like I dread it.
I don't get the same, but you probably look better and probably stronger.
Totally.
So
can I prod it?
can you what?
Prod it.
Yes. Come on. Hold on.
Okay.
Wait. Well, let me tense first.
Oh, sorry.
You can't just throw me under the bus like that. Oh, wait. It's not bad. Come on.
What do you mean you don't have a six? What do you
Yeah,
mean that's
but
not chilling? That's not a
It's
chilling
chilling
six-pack.
because visually it's not going to look the same. And
You just have
that's
pecs,
all
that's
right.
pecs. Yeah, that's great.
Pecs stayed.
Fine.
Guys, you've got to put this in context, okay? Don't just think I'm asking Clemmy to just film me.
No, you feel amazing. That sounds weird as well. But you've spoken a lot about in the past about.
Oh my God!
Sort of
Why does this remind me of? Oh God, you are so funny. Carry on.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. You've spoken in the past about having like disordered eating to have the abs, and you felt a lot of pressure. And you, Zayn Malik, Ed Sheeran, Gary Barlow, they've all spoken about having kind of bulimia or eating disorders and stuff. Like genuinely, at your worst, how bad was it?
Well, I never had an eating disorder. What I did was I went too extreme. So back in the 80s, Rocky movies were the thing. And I think Rocky 3 was around 1985 or something, and we all became obsessed with this way of training and eating. So I used to do the raw eggs every morning. I mean, when I think about it now, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
But I used to have probably 4 or 5 raw eggs, honey, I can't remember what else I used to put in it, protein powders. And my dad just used to look at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I was obsessed. So I didn't have a disorder in that way. What I did was nothing. I couldn't have oil on my food.
Oh yeah, I went to that stage. No butter.
No butter, no skin.
No sugar. I'd have Canderel or whatever, which is the worst thing you can do.
Did you used to get? I got sick all the time. I had a cold all the time. I was run down. I had ulcers like all the time, and it was because I had no fat. I mean, literally, it's the price you pay if you really want it. But to be honest, I then thought, there's got to be another way. There's got to be a balance. In my 30s, I went the opposite way. I ate, didn't train, and I put on 3 kilos. It was the first time ever in my life. It's the only time I've ever done that. And then I just thought, no, there's got to be a balance. So then I thought, I'm just going to keep training, but kind of eat what I want.
Yeah.
To a point, like I still love home cooked, and that's
Do you do the cooking at home?
I'm obsessed with it.
Right.
But Emily's a great cook, and I never thought it would get to a stage where we like battle who's going to cook.
Yeah, that's the dream.
It's a dream. And she's so good at baking, that's not my forte.
Yeah.
So she makes the most insane cakes. Again, why it's chilling. Because I love stuff like that. I can't resist it.
Never been tempted by the fat jab, which every other celebrity under the sun seems to be?
No, I've never been tempted to that. I wouldn't say I would never do it. If I struggled in other ways and I couldn't, and I felt like I needed to, I was overweight, and I would never say never to something like that, especially if it can make you feel better. But for me personally, I'm a kind of old school. I think I'm being lazy if I don't get up and do something. And
on the subject of needles, you literally do not age. It's so annoying.
How can you say that? Look at these and look at that. And Claire, oh my God, I'm going to throw her under the bus here. Claire's my manager and friend for 30 years. I'm going to throw you under the bus, Claire. She said to me one day, she goes to me one day, as a friend, you need Botox. Now, what you would think she would say is, on a business side of things, I think...
Yeah.
But as a friend, I don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
She didn't mean it like that. She's looking at me now with terrible devil eyes. But let me just say, I just thought... I used to do it probably about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then I stopped.
Why did you stop? I interviewed Gary Lineker, and he said that he looked so weird and surprised all the time.
No, mine's not like that. Unfortunately, mine's anxiety based. This sucks. So, going back to what you said about bulimia, I didn't suffer that side of it, food, eating disorders, but what I do suffer is horrific anxiety. I've had it for years. I don't know if I've ever told anybody, but I was diagnosed with panic disorder years ago.
Really?
Which is a disorder. It's not like, oh, you just get over it. You can't help it.
Yeah.
And it's horrible because when it comes on, it comes on. But it's manifested itself in a way now. I mean, I'm cool with it. I just get on with it. Do you have
panic attack? Like, is that,
yeah,
oh, that makes
me
me
I now look in the mirror and I go, grow a set. That's what I say to myself, like, get over it, you know. But when it gets you, it's horrible. And I think I've got it under control pretty much, but it's manifested itself in a way now with medicine. So I have a fear of taking medicine. I have a fear of putting something in my body that I can't get out. That includes injections. So when people go, and I had the vaccine, and I was petrified. I had to have therapy to get the vaccine. And the reason I got the vaccine was because I wanted to go see mum and dad in Australia.
Yeah, of course.
And I wasn't allowed to travel. And also I was doing the show Grease in the West End, and they said, we're really sorry. Yeah. Which now I think it's a bit harsh, but you couldn't do it, basically. Back then, if you didn't have the jab, you couldn't do the show. But it was because of mum and dad in Australia was the tipping point. And I went through therapy to have the jab. So unfortunately, I don't do flu jabs. And it's not because I don't believe in it. It's because I literally can't. So I stopped the Botox because of that.
Wow.
And
so you have like literally a panic attack, or?
Well, it's not the actual
or
happening.
The stress of it.
I'm then thinking, right. So the way I describe it to someone is, imagine. Have you ever heard of that thing where a spider can lay eggs under your skin?
Well, yeah.
And
so then you think about what's going on.
I can't get it out. And honestly, I've tried certain therapies. I've tried CBT. I've tried, what's the other one? EMDR.
Is that the touching one?
I've tried all of that. And it helped me a little bit with the vaccine. It did. But it didn't help me. It hasn't helped me long term. So I'm like stuck in this thing of going, when I get older, I'm going to need... So I haven't had paracetamol for like 2-3 years.
Are you serious?
But it's proven something to me.
What?
Sure, that stuff works. There's no doubt. But whenever I used to have a headache, I would just take paracetamol.
Yeah, same.
Now when I get a headache, I'm like, I don't want to take it. 2-3 hours later, it's gone. So I'm thinking... So actually, I'm not saying you don't need to take medicine. But what I'm saying is that a lot of times I thought I needed to take medicine. I actually didn't need it.
That's really interesting.
So Botox, yeah, I'm in that thing now where I'm like, I don't necessarily love what I see on camera. That's why I don't look.
No, you look great. It's really annoying.
Real life, I feel good talking to people, but I'm conscious of it. But I just think, well, what am I going to do? So I will get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I've never said that to anyone.
It's really interesting. Genuinely, I could talk about this all day. But I will change the subject. Talking about clips earlier, about how you see clips. I remember seeing a clip with you and your daughter, Princess, and it was like I kept watching it because it's so fascinating. It was from her, I think it was the first series, The Princess Diaries, and was it second? Second, when she hands you her phone. And you're looking at the direct message that a man had sent her. And I just want to talk to you about social media and particularly...
Well, I'm a bit concerned that she kept saying, should I tell you? And I said, no. And then I said, yes. Why did I allow myself to hear that? Because the thing is, it doesn't matter if your daughter... You know what people are like. You know what the world is like. But it still hits different when it's your daughter and when... Or your son, if Junior was getting something... a form of abuse or something, like it's your...
Yeah.
Well,
I got my first pic the other day and I was genuinely quite shocked. But I'm not 19 or 21. Do you know what I mean? I'm like a grown-up.
What, someone just sent it to you?
Yeah, this guy. And then just sent me a nice message about something that I'd written. And then I was like, oh, thank you very much. And then I get a
Hang on. Is this actually genuinely what happens? What people just feel at some point they should just send... So without you asking?
Obviously without me asking, yes.
No, but hang on a second.
But I'm a grown-up. I just laughed it off.
No, but the guy doing it, what does he think? I mean...
What does he think I'm going to do? Like...
If you... So this is what doesn't make sense to me, right? If someone sent me... If okay, say I'm a single guy...
Do you not get tit pics? Is that the equivalent?
No, but back in the day... Well, there was no social media back in the day anyway. But no, right? But imagine, if I'm joking with someone and say I'm a single guy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm joking with you and I send you a pic of... I don't know, we're starting a joke and I send you a pic of boobs. How childish do I feel? Boobs. And then you then send me something back to be funny, and then it progresses.
Yeah.
I can see logic. But at what point do you think I'm going to send this and it's going to turn that person on? Because to be honest, I can't actually understand. I mean, maybe as a guy, if a girl sent, would you find that?
Maybe if you're courting, if you're actually like early days, or,
but hang on a second.
Flirting, or flirting.
But let's think about it the opposite way.
Yeah.
A girl sends a guy a picture of her breasts.
Yeah.
A guy might go, oh. But if a guy sent you a picture of him topless in the gym, you might go, oh.
Yeah.
But if a woman sent a picture of her, you know, high,
yeah.
Most guys are going to go, what the hell?
Yeah,
don't you think?
So don't you think what? Yeah.
So I get the top part a bit.
I just don't think any genitalia is particularly attractive. So why would you send it before you know someone?
That baffles me. Although she didn't say there were pictures like that sent. I hope not now. Now I'm
Oh God, sorry.
stressing.
I assume that's what you saw.
Obviously she's 18 and I've got to get over it and I've got to cut the umbilical cord. I understand. But I am just a bit like...
So what did she show you? What was the message?
It was a message of a guy, I think saying something about her feet or something he wanted to... Oh, don't.
Sorry. And was he older?
Yeah, but the thing is...
I was like obsessed. I was looking at some comments last night. Some 21-year-old had been like, comment if you think I'm hot, which is, you know, provocative. But the comments were from like 18, 70, 80-year-old men, like my dad's age. And I was like, imagine if I thought my dad was I'd be, ugh.
Yeah.
What makes you think you have the right to comment on a young girl? She's not asking for you. Maybe I'm being ageist. But it made me feel so...
I don't know. I mean, obviously... I'm always going to look at it different because it's my daughter, which is, you know, if I could put that aside, it is a bit weird. I mean, you think of just, I can only put it up to the top part to the bottom part as two very different things. I don't know, maybe I'm just...
But in terms of like Princess and growing up in the public eye and, you know, I met Princess, she's such a lovely, grounded, switched on kid.
Girl.
Like, she's so nice. But does it not, as a parent, just terrify you that Princess and Junior have grown up in you know, they're at school we didn't have phones at school.
Yeah.
They've had this sort of filth, I sound like I'm 80, but they've had this sort of horrible material sent to them that you weren't aware of. And does it scare you for future generations?
I'll tell you what scares me is, and it didn't, so yesterday I was on on GMB, and Ravir Singh? Ravir
Singh, yeah.
Ravir, isn't that?
Ranveer, I think, yeah.
Ranveer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's really nice. She sort of said, well, you know, you've had your kids on social media and you're pushing for this under 16 ban. And I said, yes. She said, well, but you've had your kids on social media. I said, yes. And I said, and I know it sounds hypocritical, but I said, the difference is, you cannot tell me that anyone, when social media first started, how the hell did we know what we know now, right?
Yeah, with hindsight.
Yeah, so okay, we started to feel it was a bit of a toxic place a few years later, but initially we didn't. And then now, what really scares me is about a year ago, AI came into play. And there were all these reports about, they were taking young images of kids that were being posted online. And then AI was doing these horrific things. And so I turned around to Emily, who had said that Millie and Theo can't be on social media. And I was like, oh, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? Oh, I was one of those guys going, it's a bit harsh. Until about a year and a half ago, and I went, I am so glad you fought for that.
Yeah.
Because now, all right, J and P are older now, but the young images is apparently it's horrific. There was a whole documentary I saw about it, and also schools now. So the school that my daughter Millie goes to have banned phones completely for up to 16, 17 or something. And I was like, thank God the school's helping, because as parents, it's almost impossible for us to stop.
Yeah.
So, you know, having the backing of the government, if they do it, will be a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Australia did the under 16 ban. They liked it.
Yeah. How do you, although they're saying it's really hard to police, but at what age, when you're two youngest, they're going to start asking for phones and stuff? Have you had a conversation about when you let them have
Emily's
them?
like, she said, kids, I'm telling you now, you ain't having it till 16. I'm like, 16 is a bit harsh to not have a phone.
Also, it's quite good to know where they are when the night's out and the mates.
So you're going to love this. Yeah. And I do love it. It's cute. Emily got Millie a Nokia phone.
Yeah.
I know. So she's texting old school.
Like she got Snake and stuff.
Yeah, it's brilliant. She's texting old school, right? It's taken her about an hour to say, hi, Dad, how are you? But...
How old is Millie now?
She's 12.
Right.
But...
Yeah, that's the age where they start.
I thought she was going to kick off, and she loves it. And this is the thing, I think it's really difficult. So I was really strict with Princess. You're not allowed to have Instagram until you're 14. And when you're 14, you can't go public for at least a year, because I want to kind of see what she was going to be posting. But of course, she didn't listen to me. But I tried my best. And even then, it wasn't as bad as what we know now.
Yeah.
But they've been told. And I said, so this year...
But do you worry that they get warped from seeing like horrible, gross, pervy stuff?
Yeah.
Like we were so lucky we didn't have that.
We didn't. And this goes back to, again, where you can't stop your kids from doing certain things. So, for example, Princess, I remember she was about 14 and Love Island it was a brand new show. And I remember her going, can I watch Love Island? And I said, over my dead body, are you watching Love Island? This is when it first came out. Remember how it was like all new and everyone was snogging on and they were getting off and going and doing things in the Casa de whatever it was called, Casa de whatever it was called. I don't know what it was called. Anyway, and I was like, no, you're not. And then one day I'm at home and I'm in the living room and I could hear her talking to Junior in the kitchen and she's going, yeah, I watched Love Island today. So I went in the kitchen. I said, I didn't want to be too strict, but I was a bit strict when they were younger, to be fair. And I was like, what did you see? She goes, oh, nothing. And I said, why did you watch Love Island? Where did you watch it? And she said, at lunchtime, I watched it on my friend's phone at school. So it was a lightning bulb moment. I thought, well, she's right. You're never going to stop it. So what do? You need other governments to ban things so that it's not down to us, because we can't win.
Can't police it.
Can't. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I'm
my life story then.
No, I'm going to touch on this very briefly because you talked about it before. You've defended nepo babies and that term. You know, your kids can't help who they're born to. Yeah. But don't you think that talent speaks for itself, and what Princess and Junior are doing now is, they're making it on their own regardless. You gave them a leg up. But
yeah, but the reason why the nepo baby thing doesn't work so much for me is because if you look at someone like Michael Douglas, one of the greatest actors of our time, you don't go, oh, but he's only a great actor because his dad was Kirk Douglas. Most of the biggest actors in the world have got parents that generations back were massive movie stars, but they're not called nepo babies because it seems to be this new term.
I've never thought about Michael Douglas being a nepo baby before.
I mean,
he's the original.
I mean, there's Charlie Sheen, right?
Yeah.
His dad was Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't say that to these legendary actors. Who was the other one? There was one recently. There was Angelina Jolie. Her dad was, what was her dad's name again? Big actor.
Yeah, V-O-I-G-T.
Something, Voight, was it?
Voight.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What I mean is that, yes, of course I understand that you can, but tell me one, what's the word? Job. Tell me one job that a parent does where at least one of the kids doesn't want to follow it. So, for example, Theo wanted to be a doctor because mum's a doctor. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a doctor just because his mum is. He's going to have to flip it and work hard to become a doctor.
He's not going to skip his exams.
No. And some people might go, yeah, but music's different because you don't... Well, to get a music scholarship, you've still got to... You can help, or you can be surrounded by people and grow up in an industry. Judy Garland. Was it Judy Garland? Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
No one says Liza Minnelli's a nepo baby. But her mum was it her mum was Judy Garland?
I think so.
Do you know what I mean? So you've still, yes, you're surrounded by, if you're a doctor, you're going to be surrounded by doctors all your life. If you're a teacher, you're going to be surrounded by that all your life. So you might, as a kid, want to go down that road. And maybe your mum's going to go, well, speak to this teacher. She might be able to help you do work experience for 2 weeks. But you're not going to say that's a nepo baby if that person becomes a teacher. So I just found it a bit weird that it was only focused on
you're right.
people in the industry. But I get the idea of what they're talking about. But I think it's not 100% accurate. But I might be wrong.
You mentioned your wife's career, and I didn't put two and two together. What does she think about your medicine fear? Is she a bit...
She's talked to me about it, and she said, you just have to expose yourself to it. And I said to her, the problem with that, Ems, is, I said, imagine...
But at least you've got her on hand if something happened. She could just say you need this.
Yeah, and she doesn't let me be a hypochondriac, so I don't really talk about it much. I just leave it and deal with it a lot. But she did say to me, you know, you're going to have to expose yourself to it. And I said to her, the only way I can imagine it, I said, imagine if you wanted to be a fireman, right? And you went to your job and they said, right, we're going to put this fire suit on you. You're going to go into this burning house. You're not going to die. We can promise you that. You're not going to die because of the protection. But it is going to be the worst hour of your life.
Yeah.
Right. And you go and do it. And you want to be a fireman, so you do it. Would you just willingly one day go, I'm just going to walk into a burning house? If you were to save someone, yes. But would you willingly just go and do it for fun? No. So for me to expose myself to it means that I am now having to face this fear front on over and over and over again to try and overcome it.
Yeah.
And normally when you see fear, you run the other way. So I find that concept hard. I know it's right. And maybe one day that's what I'll have to do.
That's so interesting. I could talk about this all day. And I won't dwell on this subject too long. But a day I never thought would happen, you and your ex-wife, Katie Price, who you know I'm fond of, you've had a kind of détente, a reconciliation. Yeah. How on earth did that come about? Well, I never thought we'd see the day.
A lot of people don't know this, but many times over the last 16 years, we had been okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only four years ago when she was sitting in our garden and we were all having lunch.
Yeah.
But then when things didn't go quite right, and I know there was all this talk of we hadn't spoken for 16 years.
Yeah, she said she hadn't spoken to you for 9
well,
years.
I mean...
Is that just Kate adding a bit of 20%?
I don't know, but whatever the case is, we've been fine before, and I love that we're fine now. And I'll tell you why, and this time I really want it to last. Because, and I would say this to you, I'd say this to anyone, she is, no matter what happens, she's the mother of my kids. And those kids are my world. And seeing her happy, I'm happy. I just like positivity. I like everyone moving forward. So I really hope that this lasts. I really do. And it would be nice. And it's nice. It's nice to actually be able to just get on with it.
I did an interview with her about 4 months ago. No, less than that, about 2 months ago. And she said that she hopes that one day you can properly be friends again and like kind of pick up the phone or...
Well, we did. I mean, it was only recently when... So what happened was Princess was in the kitchen and she went, oh, I'll go in the other room. And I said, why? I thought she was going to be speaking to a boy or something. She said, I'm going to speak to Mum. I said, well, put her on. I'll say hello because we... So she came on and she went, oh, this is weird, isn't it? And I said, actually, it isn't. Yeah. And that's when I saw her and her husband and we had a chat. We laughed a bit and it wasn't weird at all. Yeah. That's the thing.
That's nice.
It's not weird. It's just sometimes I think it can be blown up a lot more. But I'm just happy that it's like this and it's nice.
Final question. When you see things like, you know, she's married this man, Lee, who she'd known you for about 4.5 seconds, do you just think, okay, what are you doing? Or do you just wish her well?
Right. This is the way I answer this.
Yeah.
Okay? And not because it's her, because I would say this about anyone. My mum and dad were very strict. Very strict. And every time we had a girlfriend or, you know, or my sister had a boyfriend or whatever, they would always, you know, when we were younger, they would always, you know, they're not right for you, you need this person, you need that person. And one day I remember saying to my dad, have you ever asked, what makes me happy? What makes, if I want a partner, what makes me happy? And he said, you're right. I never really thought of it that way because as parents, we tend to tell our kids what they should be doing. And it was a lesson that I learned. So now whenever Junior or Princess or they meet someone, are you happy? So my thing to her is, are you genuinely happy? And if you are, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what it's about because who am I to tell someone what they should or shouldn't be doing or giving even an opinion about it?
Well, she said like, you know, I'm getting so much stick, but if I'm happy, can't people just be happy for me?
And that is exactly right. On that side, I agree with that.
Great. Also, it's 20 years, almost to the day, since A Whole New World came out.
Whole New World? Oh my God, I haven't heard that for years.
Well, did you hear, I felt really bad for her. Did you hear the un-auto-tuned version where, bless her,
do you think
was that doctored?
I
always
don't
wanted
know.
to know.
I don't know. I heard it once years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, surely someone's messing about.
That's what I've always wondered.
I don't know.
Great unsolved mystery. It's still a mystery.
It's Insania.
It's Insania.
Oh God, terrible. But yeah, no, I haven't heard that song for years. But when you say 20 years, Junior's 20. That's how long ago. That means I was in the jungle 21 years ago. Well, no, 22, because Junior's going to be 21 this year. That is crazy.
I feel so odd. When I'm having to sort of semi-interview your children, it's just a low day.
Oh God, do you know what's so nice is when they have all these schedules and I'm like, oh, I'm still schedule heavy because I'm really determined and driven.
But is it weird, because obviously you guys did a lot of reality shows together and I was quite heavily involved with all of that. I mean, I used to see the schedules of Claire and stuff. And is it weird now seeing them, like, especially Princess doing her reality stuff and having the schedule and having camera crews everywhere? It must be like bringing it all back, the madness.
I kind of am a bit relieved because I'm like, I want her to
fly. Yeah,
and Junior's a really talented kid. Yeah. Like you'll start seeing it more and more as time goes on. But I want to see them fly because I'm 53, right? So I'm really driven now. But when I get to 60, what am I going to? I'm probably.
But you said that to me when you were 35. I'm almost 40.
I know, but not now. Definitely not now. I'll tell you what I've determined. I don't care if it's not this album, if it's not the next album, if it's not. I am not going to stop till I get a number one. Really? As in, not a number one on iTunes or number one on Amazon. I'm talking about number one in the official charts.
Yeah.
It might not be this album. It might not be the next one. It might be. It might not be. Let's say it isn't. That's my career thing. I will get a number one again, and I will go back and do the O2 Arena again.
Yeah.
Once I've done that, who knows? I might go, do you know what, guys? Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. Time to just call it. But no, not now. I'm very driven. But what I love is seeing the kids just starting that, because in a few years I can sit back and go, oh, you can have it.
Yeah.
But it's a great industry if you've got a good team behind you, and obviously they've got a good team behind them.
What's the sort of weirdest TV offer you've had? You must get Strictly and stuff all the time.
So, yeah, I got Strictly. I did Strictly.
Oh, you did Strictly, didn't you?
With Jeremy Vine, funny enough.
Yeah.
And we just discussed that today. How weird we haven't spoken about.
God, I completely forgot you did Strictly.
I know.
We'll cut this out.
No. That's. Well,
no, I just look completely inept.
So in 2003, Claire had rung me. So I was living away, and Claire had rung me and said, "Look, there's these shows that are coming in," and there were all these different ones she was reading out to me. Celebrity boxing, I think it was something, and I was like, no thanks. And then there was Big Brother. Was the first ever series. Wow. She said, "Is it something you'd want to do?" And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "People sit in a room and talk."
Well, give me.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then she kept saying it until I'm a Celebrity, and I said, "What's that about?" And she said, "Well, there's 2 series already." So we were on series 3, believe it or not, that long ago.
What's the worst thing you ate?
I didn't do the eating challenge.
Oh, so disappointing.
But I did have to lie in a coffin with thousands of spiders and cockroaches. And my biggest fear is spiders. Well, it isn't. It's medicine now, but it used to be spiders. Yeah. That was horrific. But, anyway, and then I said, "Oh, that one sounds good. Is it like a Survivor program?" And she went, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'll give that a go." And then I did Strictly. I've done Cooking with the Stars. The only other one I'd probably want to do, of all of them, is probably MasterChef. Yeah. Just because it's a technique, and I'm a cook, but I'm by no means a chef, but I'm a good cook, I think. So I'd love to give that a go, but that's about it. I don't really think
I'll include that. Hopefully that again.
Yeah, but I'd love to present. But if I was to be a contestant, contestant would be MasterChef, but I'd love to present other things rather than be a contestant.
Is that something you want to get back more into? Obviously, you've got quite a diverse. You've had to column. You've done shows. Is presenting and doing. Yeah,
it's not my favourite thing. I love it, but it's not my favourite. Like, I would much rather be on stage any day of the week than presenting. But I still enjoy presenting.
Yeah. And just finally, your kids are Gen Z. What's the most annoying Gen Zism that they do?
I can't bear the JKXY, this IDM. I'm like, what does that mean, bro? Just tell me. Well, don't you know what that means? I don't know. I'm laughing myself to the ground. All these, they're extending. It's not like, okay, I don't know, fine, IDK. But then it's like IDKWYM. I don't know what you mean.
Oh, right.
Right? Well, see how I just threw that in like I knew it. But it's getting longer. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah.
You know, or what do you want for dinner? Princess IDM. Right? That one tricked me for a while. IDM, what is that? Ice cream, dessert.
I don't mind.
I don't mind.
Oh, it is.
I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And it's those things. So then I spend ages going backwards and forwards. And the worst part is I'll send her a message back going, please tell me what that means. And it'll take her an hour or 2 hours to reply.
Yeah.
So I'm downstairs with the pan in my hand going, listen. And that's all fine. I don't care. But she never takes 2 hours to reply to me if it's something that she wants at that moment.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Actually, no, this is my final question. Everyone thinks Peter Andre, what a saint, you know.
No one's a saint.
What is the most thing Peter Andre's ever done?
Oh, I've done loads of stupid things. Like, you know, everyone does. You just...
What's the naughtiest thing you've done?
Oh, God.
Do you remember Theresa May, who said,
What
it
did
running
she say?
through the fields of wheat or something? She got completely pilloried for it. So don't say
What
that.
did she... What she was...
She was literally just ran. I can't. Yeah.
What? That was it?
That was.
That was
so
a big
when
moment?
viral, that was her
Oh,
thing.
no. God. Well, I reckon it was pretty weird, me and the Backstreet Boys running naked through... This is interesting, isn't it? Me and the Backstreet Boys running naked in Germany outside in the snow. Can I just explain? We were in a steam room, and back then, I don't know, in Europe, it's all mixed and people are naked.
Oh, so you went...
So me and the boys were, this is back in the 90s, we got towels wrapped around us. We walked in, everyone's naked. They're looking at us like we're weird.
Yeah.
We're looking at each other going, do we drop them, right?
Yeah.
I did. I didn't care.
Got the chipolata out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know, no, I shouldn't say this.
He doesn't have a chipolata, apparently.
Anyway, do you really want me to throw people under the bus here? Let's not do that. Anyway, God, now I've
Sorry. Towels, sauna, Backstreet Boys.
So I dropped it.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many of the boys dropped it, but man, it was the funniest thing because then we said to my brother Danny, sure, there's snow outside. Let's go from the steamer into the snow. Went into the snow, and then my brother locked the door, and we were out there for flipping ages. Anyway, that's not even that bad, but that was a memorable moment. Trying to think of another one. I've done some crazy stuff. I mean, I remember days that are a blur in the 90s. I remember, okay, here's one thing. This was a stupid thing to do. It's not even that bad. But I never smoked. I never smoked ciggies never fell to that peer pressure, right, till I was 20-something, 6. When I was in a club in Austria or somewhere like that with All Saints, and it was Melanie and Shaznay. It was just the two girls at the time, before the Appleton sisters. And I fell to peer pressure because Melanie Blatt was smoking a ciggy, and she's like, you don't know how to smoke. And I'm like, and I'm coughing everywhere. And I remember I started smoking from that night for about 10 years.
I'd forgotten that.
That was a bit of a stupid move. And then I quit. That's not that bad still. I've got to come in easy. I'm not going too hard yet.
That's fine.
Next interview, I might tell you more.
Okay, fine. No, Peter Andre, thank you very much. That was excellent.
It's been fun, actually.
It's been...
Good to see you after 10 years.
Yeah.
And you look awesome.
That with the facelift.
Facelift?
Yeah, I had a facelift.
Did you?
Yeah. I sunbathed, ruined my skin, sunbed.
Okay, but you look great, so...
Thanks.
Do you feel good?
Yeah, I feel better. My eyes still a bit up, but yeah.
So hang on, so when I'm telling you I've got wrinkles and that, and you're going, no, but yet you're telling me these things that I can't even see.
No, definitely puffy eyes, because I once had filler when I was 32, and it migrated after the facelift. So it's the
I'm
biggest mistake of my life.
That is one
Biggest
thing
mistake.
I am absolutely petrified of, and I've never had. And I'm not
Never
saying
do
there's
it.
anything wrong with
Never
fillers,
again.
but I've never had it, and I'm petrified of that because I think.
Yeah, don't do it. Cautionary tale.
What happened?
So I had filler when I was 32, didn't need it under my eyes.
Yeah.
Looked great for about 6 months. And then kind of whatever, didn't think about it. I had my facelift, and because I guess they shove everything up a little bit. The filler
Lower,
migrated.
upper, where did you
just under the eyes. And
no,
then
where did you do the face?
Like, look, I've got scars.
So yeah, but is it an under?
Dan came and picked me up from the hospital.
But you can have different types, right? You can have lower.
Yeah, I did a. What did I do? Low. Yeah, like
And
lower.
so does that mean
just
you
lower.
never have to do Botox again?
I'd like to say I would never have to.
Like,
but
does it take away the wrinkles
so
and stuff?
yeah, so basically I used to have Botox every 2-3 months, and now I do it every 6. So I'm saving money.
So you still do? Well, why? There's no wrinkles.
Well, that's because I have Botox.
Good answer. So, does it solve a lot of the problems? Because I'm thinking when I get to 60, what am I going to feel like?
Yeah, well, that will save that win. I mean, you'll have to have general anaesthetic, and that's a needle, isn't
Yeah, but you'll be asleep then. You won't know. When you wake up, you won't know what happened.
Well, that was my theory. Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know, guys. Maybe in 10 years' time, there'll be a whole different thing where you know.
Yeah.
You
Let's
just,
hope.
Yeah.
Because
But anyway, you look great, is what I meant
you.
to say.
Thank you.
And whatever you're doing is great. So go for it.